the universe listens, and your words are really important, and your energy is really important. And I didn't realize the power of it until later on in life, but I'll tell you the story that like still fucks with me so hard.
Okay.
So like 4 years ago, I had like a shitty day at the office, and I'm like at the house, and I'm like unpacking boxes that I should have unpacked when I moved in, whatever. And I find this binder, and it's from 8th grade, right? And it's like homework assignments and shit that I did in 8th grade. And in 8th grade, I'm in Eagle, Idaho. Never really left Eagle, Idaho, like never been to San Diego. And I find this letter. And the letter it was an assignment, and it was, you are 30 years old and you haven't talked to your best friend since you were like 18, graduating high school, right? So catch them up on your life. That was the letter assignment, okay? My best friend at the time, still one of my best friends in the world, his name's Brandon Sweeney. So that's who I wrote the letter to. So I start reading this fucking letter. And this letter that I wrote in 8th grade is my life. Like everything. I'm a successful attorney. I own my own law firm. I bought an oceanfront house, blah, 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 blah. Like my life, still not married. Like, I mean, like literally everything, right?
Right. And point out, he wrote he was still not married. Guess what? He's like,
still not married.
Still not married. So be careful what you're writing if that's not what you want. You know what I mean?
Crazy. Like, like nuts. So I go and I look, and like, because it's an assignment, so you're going to get graded. You have to, when you write a letter, you have to put an address. Where are you sending the letter from? I'd made up some address, right? And it was like 1640 Ocean View Way, San Diego, California. And
you just wrote that, and you were living in Idaho?
I was living in Idaho. I'd never been to San Diego. So I'm like, that fucks with me, right? So this is 4 years ago. I framed the letter. I put it in my house, right? So it's on a bookshelf in my house, in my living room, still is. And I go on another podcast probably 2 years ago. Okay. And I tell this story, and I'm like, I know that you can manifest the life you want. And I think I tell everyone, write down your goals, write down like the things you're going to do, write down 5 years, 10 years, go back through that shit. There's a power to it. No one does it. People are lazy. They don't want to spend the time, but there's a power to it. I do it every single year still. So I'm telling this story on a podcast, and I go home, and the guy's like, no, wait, will you send me a picture of the letter? So I send him a picture. His name's Kevin Feely. He's a podcast, and he's downtown. I send him a picture of the letter. He starts blowing up my phone. He starts calling me, and I'm like, okay. I pick up on the third ring, and he's like, bro, have you typed in that address? And I'm like, no, what are you talking about? He goes, type in that fucking address right now on Google. So I get the letter, and I type in the address on Google. It's an address in San Diego, a 1/4 mile away from my office and my house. Like, what the fucking chances
you just made that
of
up when
that?
You were in 8th grade?
I just pulled an address out of thin air for an assignment because that's how you get graded. And it is an address in Mission Hills, a 1/4 mile, a stone's throw from my current office and my house.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if that's not the universe, I don't know what it is.